Hello, everyone. How we doing tonight? Hopefully, you guys had the best of holidays. Let's have a little sound check. We haven't been here for a while. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys see my screen? Awesome, Wolfie. Nice. Well, as I said, hopefully you guys had some great holidays, right? Took some time off, recharged, and are ready to get right back into it. I know for myself, it's been a little weird. You might have seen from my Twitter. Taking a break for that long, definitely something that I'm not used to, and I have to get back into it, right? So this week, I'll be getting back into it slow and steady, half risk the whole week, but I am finally back to trading and very excited to get back in these markets. This early in the year, right? We'll get right into our outlook, right? Very simple. This early in the year, I don't expect much usually, right? I remember last year I was trading. Now I can say this because I've been trading for a little over a year and a half, right? But I traded last January, and I remember we just ran like crazy. That's all we did for the start of the year. I believe this year will be a little bit different, right? Opening range during January had over a 90% probability of being true. What do you mean by true? What do you mean by this? But I am using data, right, to frame all of my directions now. I've just found it is extremely high probability looking at monthly profiling, right? Where do the highs and lows form for specific months and what direction they are. Yeah, for sure, Wolfie. But looking at this, right, we're looking at price. What do I expect? Well, we just opened the year, right? If I just put this on a yearly candle for a second, let's go look at a 12 months power of 3. If it plots, oh, well, I mean, it's going to be the same as the monthly. Okay, that was a little moment. Sorry about that. But if you guys see, we just opened the year, right? So what am I going to expect? I'm going to expect a longer term manipulation. So if we keep going higher, of course, I'm going to expect a bearish year, which I do not. So what do I want to see really? I want to see a big move lower, right? We talked about this even before leaving for the holidays. These levels, they're too clean for my liking. I want us to go down there. But of course, what else do we have, right? Let me just make this magnet work. Awesome. These levels are too clean for me. But now, if we look just at our most recent range that we're trading within, we formed a lot of SMT, right? And I am going to put this cursor so you can see my crosshair on ES to my right, but we formed SMT here, and we also formed SMT here, NASDAQ being higher, while ES took out that level quite a while ago, right? So we have a lot of divergence at the lows. We're not necessarily respecting it, but we could have just been waiting for time to align. So for the short term, which means the start of the week, perhaps even the whole week, I'm going to be looking for some retracements higher. But to keep going on with my thesis of I want to see a huge open low this year, right? I want to see us go down there. I want to see us scare some people to death. And then I want to see us keep running higher, right? We just had one of the best years to date, right? For NASDAQ, we had a huge performance year. I don't have the numbers set up yet, but definitely a huge performing year, right? If we just look at it from 2024 right here, you can tell, right? We went higher. Did a lot of back and forth, which I actually did not notice at all. But we had a 30% year, which is pretty great for NASDAQ. And I'm going to expect something quite similar, perhaps a little less, looking in the 20s. So I want to see a big move lower, perhaps going right all the way to February. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. February is my worst performing month. And of course, I don't have a lot of data since I haven't been trading for many years. But last year, February was horrible for me. So I'm going to be a little wary early on in the year here. And I'm not scared to be half risk right up until those March, April months if I need to. But talking more specifically about this week, we have very simple news, right? It is not the first week of the month, but we are regarding it as such with NFP being present. This is very low quality. Can you guys see that correctly? Or is it just me? Here, let's make it a little bigger so that maybe you guys can see. But we have a lot of news, right? We have a PMI, which is an orange folder here, but PMI for me is always red folder no matter what, right? Inflation data would fit with seasonality, even though we cannot frame much with seasonality. Definitely, right? You're looking for an early on open low. That's what we're looking for here in January. Last year, 2024, was the year where it didn't do what it was supposed to do early on in the year. So now I'm looking for a big open low, right? Going into those mid-January, all the way to mid-February, I'm going to look for a low of the year to be formed, and we have the structure for it, right? But going back to this week specifically, right, we have FOMC, but it is meeting minutes. I don't regard that as a news at all, by the way. So I'm going to be looking precisely only at 9:30 for Wednesday. Going to be trading Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Going to be looking for some high probability trade setups right after news, right? So it's going to be 10 a.m. start, 9:30 a.m. start, 9:30 a.m. start. Definitely going to be a lot easier for you guys that have right statistics once the news data comes out. We've been in testing phase now for about 2 weeks, so definitely very close to be releasing that. We just had a lot of issues come up on the news side, but we're working on that, and definitely going to be some valuable stuff there. But getting back to it, what do we know about NFP week? Well, I framed the entire week as manipulation to then get that NFP distribution right on Friday. So if I see the start of the week go higher, and we dive back more specifically into that premium array, which I'm going to mark out, right? We have a balanced price range right here, which is just overlapping fair value gaps, right? Nothing special here. You can really just regard the bearish fair value gap, probably going to simplify your lives a lot better, right? But we're looking at the first premium array. I have this bearish fair value gap, and I'd like to see us go up here early on in the week so that we can have a huge down week. Truth is, just for our indices markets, it is way easier for us to go down and to go down very aggressively, right? Just like you saw at the end of the year. But that was the retracement of the weekly candle. It was to be expected. But, we hear some bad news all around the world. You have the war we had, and then you had Gaza, you had now Ukraine, right? All of these world events help the markets go down. And yes, it sounds a little bit unsentimental, I guess is a word for it, to be looking at these, but I'm a trader. My job is not to care about what is going on in the world. My job is to profit off of it. That's the truth of it. I've accepted that reality a long time ago, and although it's sad, that's what we need for us to go down, right? So if we have some sort of world event coming in the next 2-3 weeks, I'm definitely going to be shorting here, and that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see us go down very easily and form some SMT after taking out one of these two levels, right? So best case scenario, let's start a war. Not that bad, Emil. Not that bad. Best case scenario, we take out all these three. Now, one of the two assets, especially if we look at this from ES, look how textbook we'd have an open and too low for a year, right? These levels are extremely clean. And so if I compare these levels on NASDAQ, they are these swing points. But we could form some sort of SMT with NASDAQ not even taking out that second level here, or perhaps NASDAQ going all the way down from the weaker asset. I have no prediction in terms of who's going to be the stronger or weaker asset in this case, but seeing some sort of SMT at these levels would form a very high probability low of the year for me. And especially if we go on the weekly chart, right, where are these levels? I brought up some stuff later in the year in the price action reviews. I started talking about see how there's no defense right up until here, right? There is nothing preventing us from going lower here. There are no fair value gaps and balances. It is all liquidity, which is low resistance. When statistically does the low of the year form on average? Open your right statistics app, brother. You have it right there. But that's something I'll be covering today. But yes, until this point, nothing covering it. We did distort, right? We closed on both sides through this fair value gap. So revisiting this gap right here, which I would have loved to see in September. I think I talked about it. But revisiting this gap would be textbook perfect, right? So just a textbook open low, But as I said, a very big open low, right? We're talking about what? That's like 10%? Yeah, 8%, right? Looking for about a 10% downswing before we go higher. That would be my goal. Now, statistically speaking, NASDAQ doesn't go down that far, right? Statistically speaking, this could be the low of the year already, right? Right on the open. So how am I going to adjust to that? I have a plan of what I want to see. Now, how will I adjust? Well, I'll use recent price action. What does my recent price action tell me? This is going to happen. If SMT at the low of that range, I'm going to need to retrace. Now, if we invalidate this, right? What if we close above? Well, now I have a new target. And what if we expand aggressively above this instead of just taking it out by 10, 30 handles, 10, 20, 30 handles, and then starting to go back lower? Well, I know I have an objective higher. And then what if we go back to all-time highs? Then I know I'm bullish because I'm at all-time highs. Bullish until proven otherwise, right? So it's always a sequence of if-then statements. So I have what I want to see for the year. And as I tend to remind you guys, I don't like doing long-term analysis as a day trader because it doesn't give me any advantage, right? I like doing it as an analyst because I believe it's fun predicting the future. But as a trader, nothing helps me other than looking at the 2 previous days and where we are in the current expansion, right? So you could hide everything from me to the left of this, right? Why? Because I have a range. I have my levels that I'm going to be looking at. I know where my liquidity is present, and I know how I'm going to reach that liquidity. First premium array, we either respect it or don't. If we respect it, we're going there. If we don't, we're going there, right? Sessions long-term, definitely. Looking at intraday session liquidity is what's going to give me my final say for trades. But I'm going to be getting back into it slowly. As you guys saw from the news, we're going to have 3 PA reviews this week. We're going to have, I don't want to say bullshit. We're going to have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday for wonderful PA reviews, getting back right at it in the year. So definitely hope to see you all there. Very simple outlook, right? And you'll probably notice these outlooks are getting simpler and simpler. Why? Because I'm taking away the fact that I need to tell you 1,000 things. I'm telling you what I'm looking at, right? And the truth is, it goes on daily. I'm going to know if this idea is invalidated if we start expanding below. But right now, we formed a bullish order block right on the monthly open. I'm going to expect at least some movement higher, especially since we formed SMT at this level as well, repeatedly, right? Once again, I did not mark it out on ES, but once again here. So this tells me that we want to go higher, at least in the short term. As I said, in the midterm, next 1 or 2 weeks, I want to see us dive lower. Do we have any questions getting back into the new year? As I said, I hope you guys got your rest, got your family time, enjoyed your holidays, and are ready to get back into it because we're going to have a pretty monumental year here in 2025. You guys are going to see as we dive into those later months of, well, later in the year of April and May, we're going to have a lot of movement, especially with Trump coming into power. It's going to be nice. Yes, definitely going to be a big year, Wolfe. I'm very glad to be a part of it, you know? No questions, as always. Simple stuff, I guess. By the way, whenever we do these outlooks, I'm open to anything. Okay, so if you guys, I have energy now. I took my break. First break in 2 years. Give me stuff to do. Don't worry about it. So if ever, never be scared of asking a question. Worst case scenario, I'll say no, I won't answer. Which I do quite often as well. So that might be why. But on that note, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck trading this week. And once again, be careful. It is just the start of the week, the start of the year, sorry. It is not time to make mistakes that you're going to regret for the next 2 months, right? Take it easy, take it slow. There's always going to be more opportunity. On that note, you guys have a great night, and we'll see each other right, not tomorrow, the day after, right on Tuesday for classic PA reviews. Have a good one, guys.